When EA announced that they would be publishing a video game adaptation of the 14th-century poem Inferno, there was some apprehension from gamers and fans of literature. The story of a poet wandering through the 9 circles of hell may not have been the most obvious source for a new game, but the developers at Visceral Games have managed to make the first book of the Divine Comedy into an entertaining action-adventure game. The loose adaptation may not be very innovative, but Dante's Inferno is a fun and wonderfully presented vision of hell, though it is sometimes marred by frustration. Unlike Dante Alighieris' vision of the title character, this Dante is a warrior, not a poet. The Crusader enters hell in pursuit of his true love Beatrice, and finds that she is suffering for his sins. The only way he can get her back is to delve deeper into the 9 circles and save her pure soul from Lucifer himself. Along the way, Dante is occasionally guided by the poet Virgil, who introduces each circle of hell by explaining the sins committed by the souls trapped in each section. Between the city of Acre and the 9th circle, Dante's past will be slowly revealed in animated flashbacks, unveiling his backstory bit by bit. He also comes face to face with figures from his own life while in the underworld, making the journey much more personal. The narrative of the video game quickly diverges from the epic poem, with Visceral making it their own, while taking many descriptive details from Dante Alighieris' work. Dante's Inferno controls similarly to other third-person action-adventure titles, particularly God of War and Devil May Cry. Dante uses a melee weapon, a scythe taken from the Grim Reaper, and also has a ranged weapon, a holy cross that fires damaging energy. Additionally, Dante can use magic found at certain points throughout hell, and equipping relics to his scythe will grant him additional powers. Dante's Inferno also relies heavily on button mashing and quick time events. By the end of the game, you'll likely be tired of mashing the B button every time you want to open a door, but these elements don't feel out of place for this type of game. Throughout the course of the game, Dante will have the option of absolving or condemning the souls of the creatures he's constantly fighting, which will give him holy or unholy points. Becoming more unholy will make Dante's scythe more powerful, while leveling up the holy side makes using the cross more effective. There are also more powers and bonuses that can be unlocked by spending collected souls and reaching higher levels of both holy and unholy. While you can try to do both, it's likely that you won't master either side this way. Throughout the 9 circles of hell, Dante may also come across some famous historical figures that appeared in Alighieris' poem. For example, damned lovers Francesca de Polenta and Paolo Malatesta can be found in the Circle of Lust, while more egregious sinners like Fra Alberigo reside in the deeper sections of hell. Upon finding these souls, Dante can condemn or absolve them as well. While damning them results in a simple and violent animation, absolving these sinners will result in a button-pressing minigame, which serves its purpose at making absolution a little harder to achieve. Unfortunately, even though Dante's Inferno recycles gameplay elements from other titles in the genre, it doesn't make any improvements and still has some issues. The fixed camera in particular can make some sections of the game more aggravating than they need to be. Also, for all the combos and special attacks that can be unlocked on both the unholy and holy sides, players will likely rely on simple melee and range attacks for the majority of the game. Ultimately, despite the options, the combat ends up simply feeling shallow, and when combined with enemies that are more cheap than challenging, some sections of the game can feel needlessly repetitive and frustrating. Without a doubt, the presentation is the strongest thing Dante's Inferno has going for it. The developers have made a wonderfully haunting adaptation of Dante Alighieris' Hell, and each circle is distinctive, with appropriately themed scenery and enemies. You'll fight waves of demonic unbaptized babies in Limbo, be accosted by a giant naked Cleopatra in Lust, and see pools of gold in Greed. Sinners trapped in walls cry out, and the score is appropriately dramatic. The dialogue can be a bit overdramatic or silly at times, which will take away from some of the more serious moments in the game.
Beatrice? Is that you?
However, there are times when the circles blend together a little too much, ruining the illusion that each one is a separate entity. Also, some sections of the game end a little suddenly, with no indication that the circle has been traversed other than Virgil telling you so. Since giant boss fights can occur any time during each section, the transition from circle to circle isn't always as smooth and obvious as it should be. If you can look past the fact that Dante's Inferno is a very loose adaptation of the classic poem, the game offers 8 to 10 hours of fun, occasionally interrupted by unnecessary annoyances. Though it's an entertaining game, it doesn't do anything original, and feels like it never quite reaches its full potential. Visceral's vision of hell is nicely presented, but the derivative gameplay drags down the experience, and it's likely to be left in the dust when God of War 3 hits store shelves. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the full text review on gamervision.com.